This video was created by VinylicPuma of VinylicPumaGaming. Warning, vulgarity awaits.
Guys, Torgue has just really fucked up this time. I don't even know what to say. Holy shit. I did not realize how many awful pieces of fuck that this weapons manufacturer has made. God help you if you spent any time farming for these guns. We've got guns based off shitty grenade deployment types. We've got guns that Gearbox straight up broke from applying patches to the game. And we've even got grenade mods that fling their MIRV projectiles back at you in the hopes of trying to kill you. It is a goddamn travesty. You thought the worst Jacobs guns and weapons lists were bad? Torgue might just have some of the worst guns from both games. It's unbelievable. The same company that's responsible for the Ajax Ogre ended up making some of these pieces of shit. Oh, I'm sorry, Atlas made the Ogre. Torgue just fucked it up in Borderlands 2. Top 8 worst Torgue guns and weapons in Borderlands 2 in the pre-sequel ever. Number 8. The Tunguska. I've repeated this multiple times, but this gun will kill you before it actually kills who you're trying to shoot it at. Who makes a gun that does that? Why? Why did this even happen? How is the Tunguska, an item that is supposed to be rarer than the Norfleet, actually worse than the Norfleet? Seriously, the Norfleet has a big-ass blast radius, and I don't get killed from using that, so why the fuck am I getting killed from using this piece of shit? You have to have one of the rarest shields in the game in order to use this thing, and even then, the sham might not even be able to absorb the blast and turn it into ammo. What am I supposed to do with this thing? At least Nox is gold. I mean, you could sell that thing for a lot of money. I mean, this thing, what is the point of the Tunguska? It's worse than the guns you already have, and it's risky as fuck to use. I don't know, guys. You'd think that for something that references a massive asteroid hitting the planet, that would actually be better than it is. Number 7. The Seeker. The Seeker is really depressing, guys. A weapon that had amazing promise ultimately turned out to be a dud that's really only good for killing small airborne enemies and not much else. While the Seeker fires rockets that home in on enemies, it has fairly low damage and also sports a very low fire rate, meaning that it's going to have very lousy DPS. On higher difficulties, where enemy health regenerates extremely quickly, you need higher DPS potential from your weapons, or they are virtually useless. Like many of the other Seraph weapons, what you've essentially got here is a glorified paperweight for a weapon. What may have actually been a cool idea is that if you could have had this thing's level scale, sort of like the Contraband Skyrocket Grenade, then it would actually be useful in your earlier playthroughs of the game. But like I said, low fire rate, low damage, and the inability to perform a critical hit means that this gun is going to be useless for anyone to use. Hopefully the Seraph Vendor in the Dragonkeep DLC didn't con you into buying one of these pieces of shit. Number 6. The Rolling Thunder. Fuck the Rolling Thunder. Rubberized deployment for grenade mods is unwieldy and too goddamn unpredictable for anyone to properly use. The ultimate troll from Borderlands 2's weapon generator is to get something that has like zero fuse time, like a Stormfront, with rubberized deployment. After all, what's the point of having zero fuse time if I have to wait for the grenade to stop bouncing around first? And the Rolling Thunder is what happens when Torgue thinks it would be a good idea to make a grenade mod based off of rubberized deployment. It is nearly impossible to get the explosions to hit enemies because of the unpredictable nature of this grenade. And to make matters worse, it's about on par, and in some cases even worse, than other great grenade mods in terms of damage output. And keep in mind, the other grenade mods, are reliable sources of predictable damage as opposed to the Rolling Thunder. If you get this thing, sell its power. Fuck. Number 5. The Midnight Star. So, Torgue probably has one of the worst grenade mods in Borderlands history, and that is the Midnight Star. Now, there's a pretty good chance that you haven't heard of this one because it's part of the Captain Blade Message in a Bottle side quest missions for the Captain Scarlet DLC, and maybe you haven't completed them all, maybe you have. In terms of stats, this is actually not a particularly bad grenade mod and may actually be superior to other similar MIRV grenades of blue rarity. Now, what absolutely ruins the Midnight Star's viability is that when the grenade initially explodes, the MIRVs travel towards the player, and as you might expect, they blow up in front of the player's face. This is fucking bullshit, guys. You can literally throw this grenade mod, like, very far away, like, across the map, and somehow the MIRVs will literally defy the laws of physics and reach you somehow. The developers of the Captain Scarlet DLC are in on the joke as well, since the red text literally reads, quote, "Curse of the Cackling Designer." Now, okay, while this grenade is somewhat amusing, it's still horrible. Number 4, the Devastator. The hellaciously horrible heap of shit returns. This is another weapon that I hate with a passion. Like many of the Captain Scarlet's Seraph weapons, the Devastator is a piece of shit that should have been avoided at all cost. Instead of like normal guns, the Devastator's projectiles come from behind the gun, which doesn't even make sense. This gun has terrible accuracy and doesn't even come close to the Unkempt Herald in terms of power. While I didn't necessarily expect it to be quite as good as the Herald, I didn't expect it to be actually like way worse than the Torgue pocket rocket. It's a shame, honestly, as the Devastator is supposed to be inspired by this cool dual rocket launcher weapon from Duke Nukem 3D that also is called the Devastator. And if you've played Duke Nukem 3D, the Devastator in that game is incredible. This is a gun that you hopefully didn't loot from a raid boss or purchase from one of the Seraph vendors in Borderlands 2. It's a Seraph weapon that may actually be worse than many of the white through purple rarity Torgue pistols that you can casually find throughout the game. Hopefully, the Devastator stays dead and never returns in Borderlands 3. Number 3, the Boom Puppy. What a boatload of bias! Who thought that this was a good idea? You take the worst grenade deployment method and you turn it into a gun? What the fuck? How is this even remotely practical? As far as I can tell, unlike the Midnight Star, this isn't even a joke weapon, and the developers of the Torgue DLC were completely serious when they developed this gun. As much as I rant and rave about the Cobra and how it's mediocre and is kind of bad, you know what? It's not actually that bad. But this, holy fuck, is the Boom Puppy awful. And I don't even know what else to say. Just avoid this gun like the plague. Fuck this gun. Number 2, the Landscaper and Moonscaper. I just realized this, but all of the other guns and weapons on this particular list are exclusive to Borderlands 2. Now, while the Landscaper is also exclusive to Borderlands 2, the Moonscaper is exclusive to Borderlands the pre-sequel. And for the uninitiated, both of these weapons are largely similar, except that the Moonscaper adds an additional projectile in the middle, which, I mean, it's not as much of a piece of shit. For this video, I'm going to be mostly focusing on the Landscaper though. You can either get this gun or the Tulane, and you know, while the Tulane isn't a particularly great weapon from Borderlands 2, I would even say that with the self-slag and everything, the Tulane is still more useful than the Landscaper. This gun literally reeks of ass. If you aim down the sights, the projectiles literally fire away from the crosshairs. Who the fuck designed this? It would be one thing if the projectiles did a ton of damage, but they don't. The damage is worse than most Torgue shotguns of even white rarity. Sell this thing. Sell it, get rid of it, throw it into the grinder, fuck the Landscaper. Number 1, the Evil Smasher. What was once the most powerful gun or weapon in Borderlands 2 has now become one of the worst guns in the game, thanks to a patch applied to help curtail the Evil Smasher glitch. Now, while the effect can still activate, it appears that Gearbox significantly reduced the percentage chance for the effect to take place, and also appears that they also reduced the power of the effect, or like the overall ability, so you're not getting quite as much bonus to your magazine size or your overall damage. Now, it's really a shame because the concept behind the Evil Smasher is awesome. You essentially have a gun that fires and has a percentage chance to get boosted damage, fire rate, magazine size, whatever upon reloading. And while it wasn't the most powerful thing in the world, the Evil Smasher was definitely a good gun to use when it actually worked. Now, it's just far below average, and it's unreliable in later difficulties. Hopefully, the Evil Smasher will return in the next game, working as intended, and hopefully there won't be any glitches that Gearbox will have to patch out and break the gun again. Alright guys, that's going to wrap up this particular video. If you like this video, please be sure to leave a like and let me know what is the worst Torgue weapon that you have ever used. You can go from Borderlands 1, 2, 3... 3's not out yet, the pre-sequel, I'm sorry. But as always, again, take care and I'll see y'all next time.